Thank you very much indeed, Pak Adi. Spoken with great enthusiasm, and I think the point that we all take from that is that this is not a subject that can be handled within 1 hour. We have just touched at the edges on certain parts of it. I'm going to try and group questions that have come in as we're a little bit short on time, but I do want to take advantage of having our 3 colleagues from KPMG and also Pak Adi here. Obviously, for larger companies, they've got more significant resources to deal with the challenges of moving the fast-moving pace of digitization. So I'm putting this to KPMG. Obviously, you guys have a lot of clients from a basket of sectors and a basket of sizes as well. What would you advocate as the approach from perhaps not small, because small is in a different basket altogether, but larger size of small and medium companies that are looking to take on board guidance to be able to begin the infrastructure of protection? So that's to Danny, Benson, or Dhiren. Feel free to unmute yourself.
So Chris, if I understand you correctly, I guess the digital question is, what can small and medium enterprises do in terms of improving their cyber infrastructure? And that's I see that kind of segue into the whole I see in the chat the questions of the readiness of Indonesia cyber defense infrastructure, and we can delve into that. But I think the most important thing obviously is education, cyber awareness, and that's more of a what I see is companies do need to educate their user first of all, but at a larger level, at the country national level, I do see that the population of Indonesia is young, is very vibrant, is very mobile, is very much at the forefront in terms of adoption of technologies. But what I feel is that the cultural aspect is not in terms of the value of the personal informations to the individual. I don't think I just don't see a recognition of that yet, and I think there's more education that needs to be done in terms of educating the users of technologies of the value of their own data privacy. And I'm glad to see that there's new regulations that come out in that area. But education is definitely one area that I would say all companies, regardless of size, has to start with. And it's not the point. It's not expensive in terms of deployment of technologies. Another area is that for most small, medium-sized companies, there's a lot of usage of contractors, a lot of usage of third parties to support the infrastructures, and the mindset for a lot of companies is that once I outsource, right, then that risk resides with the outsourcer. Then the outsourcer is supposed to take responsibility of that. That's not really the case. That risk is still remains with you. You're just merely engaging someone to do it on your behalf. You still need to monitor that. And where I believe companies can really benefit, and this is in what we call SOC reporting, okay? Service Organization Control Reports. These reports are actually very, very prevalent in Western countries. So these reports essentially requires the third-party organizations to obtain an audit of their cybersecurity control mechanism compliance. And these audits are actually are signed off by the auditor themselves. In most cases, it would be the accounting firms. So these reports can really benefit. Having these report can provide some assurance to the user organizations, which in a lot of cases are small, medium enterprises, that, you know, that their contractor, their outsourced provider is implementing, you know, reasonable, you know, cybersecurity control to protect the data. So that's at the company, I would say that's at the company level.
Yeah, Chris, just to add 2 points here. I think, first of all, the organization need to understand what they want to protect. Do they have an understanding of their environment, which what kind of exposure they have? Unless there is a lot of our clients where we help them is basically they don't understand how their the attack surface look like. So what is exposed is the basic first thing they need to understand, how well they understand their environment, what they want to protect, and then go with that, what kind of a protection they can put in place. So that is the biggest mistake, I would say. The organizations will not have the complete visibility of their digital assets and how they are exposed, what kind of a cyber attack surfaces exposure they have. And they just put certain controls or not, certain tools will not going to help unless they have a visibility and understanding. So I think that would be the key for me, to actually have that and then put a control and build upon that particular cybersecurity posture.
Okay, thanks very much. I'd just like to park that question for now. I have one more question in particular I'd like to begin to pose to KPMG, and then Pak Adi, subsequent to that, I'd just like to delve a little bit into this people, education, national readiness thing, because that's come up quite a bit. But this question comes from Pam, and she's she's asking about the issue of blue teams and red teams. So enterprise IT should be aware, and DR should be prepared and need to have a blue and a red team within the enterprise. How does KPMG see this requirement of blue and red teams in the future, and especially in Indonesia? And I'd like you to begin with, please, somebody just explain what is meant by a blue and a red team for those who are not familiar.
Okay, so I'll take that, Chris. I think it's a good question. Thank you for that. And blue team and red team is basically, if we see in a layman, if I can translate it to, the one is the attack team, which is the red team, which will act as an attacker, and the blue team role is to defend that attack. So this will actually help to give the organization a view when there is an attack, how or what is your capability, your blue team can be able to defend how effectively to that defense, to that particular attack. So that's the role between red and blue team. And this is more of a simulation exercise with a various level of maturity depending upon the organization. Could start with a very basic one on the tabletop, which is more of a simulation and not really involving the systems and stuff like that. But the more advanced one, which really bring value, is that red team will actually act as a real attacker. They will not be sitting inside the premises. They will use whatever is the information available online, not really understanding or getting any access to the organization infrastructure, but they will posit attacks, whatever the information a hacker could easily can get it, and then see that whether the blue team will be able to first to identify whether they have been attacked. And if they identify that, do they understand that what is the process, what is the activities, what are the actions they need to take to protect it, defend themselves, to go further into the organization's assets and minimize the impact. So that's that exercise, which being my previous experience, I was part of as a head of cyber resilience for one of the global bank. So this is an exercise which is very important, which gives a visibility how sometimes it's a false sense of security to the organizations that we have best of the class of the tools deployed, we are secure, we will not be breached. But when this kind of exercise been done, you will get a visibility where are the actual vulnerabilities, and more importantly, the people capability and the combination of the tools and techniques you have deployed is really how effectively, how quickly you can detect and protect yourself.
Thank you very much for that. Benson, did you just want to add something very quickly?
Yeah, I was going to say this. It's unfortunate because when you mentioned blue and red team, it just popped into my mind that we were going to organize a hackathon where we invite companies. So we break them out into a red and blue team. And we organize this on a regional basis, Southeast Asia regional basis, annually. So we were going to have this this year, but unfortunately with the whole COVID thing, that just postponed it. But I thought I'd make that comment.
So there's a rain check on that. We'll keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
But Adi, I'd like to bring in a question that's come in and also expand it. The question that comes in relates to Indonesian culture. This is from Angelina. Indonesian culture and level of education. And I want to bring this question in and expand this whole issue of education. I think it was Benson mentioned the need for greater investment in life sciences of companies. Pak Adi, you mentioned that this whole development of cyber security is a process. A lot of learning needs to be done, a lot of investment in learning and a whole process of education. And it's all about people and their capability. So do you, Pak Adi, see Indonesia as being ready for this digital transformation in terms of, first of all, the availability of options within the traditional learning institutions, number one. Number two, the willingness of businesses to invest in the development of people and capabilities and competencies. My third question, or rather my additional point to this, relates to the fact that BritCham has very recently established the BritCham Education Centre, where we are going to be collaborating with certain universities from the UK for specific programs that relate very much to the pillars of national development and human resource gaps and needs. Would Indonesia be well advised to build its further capability using international collaborations through universities and so on? So those three parts to that one question.
Yes, thank you, Chris. Indeed, yeah, there is an opportunity to collaborate, not only with UK, actually, globally. Yeah, Indonesia actually is been. We have, I mean, recently I have seen a lot of proposals coming not only from the UK, coming from the US, coming from the Australia. Australia is aggressive at the moment, offering the collaboration in training, education, and so on. And the interest of learning the science of cybersecurity is very high. Why is very high? Because, of course, international spotlight on various incidents that's happening throughout the world. Our recent data breaches, which concerned two big e-commerce platforms recently, and the interest is there. But unfortunately, there are not enough education institution in Indonesia that can provide the proper training according to the proper needs that's required here. So a lot of the interested students or interests might have to pursue the opportunity elsewhere. That's why the opportunity when there is a global collaboration, international collaboration, is always welcome. And I think the government is also welcoming this, as part of the technology development program. And I have seen a lot of support from the government where they endorse a lot of collaboration, and I think a lot of countries like the UK should take advantage of this, And all I can say, Indonesia, I think is a good opportunity, and we like to learn. And of course, UK is one of the benchmark when we talk about cybersecurity. You know, I work very close also with one of your government institution, and I was amazed, you know, all the capability that they have, and you know, we like to learn from you guys, basically.
Well, thanks for that. So just to the other part of the question, we all know that if the private sector waits for governments to legislate and fund, then the waiting is too long and the opportunities are missed. Have you seen evidence in Indonesia that the private sector is stepping in and taking its own lead in terms of what's needed in this space?
Honestly, not within the last 2-3 years. But I'm quite sure after this crisis is over, after the several incidents that's happened, I think the private sector will start to invest in human capital. They will start sending their promising staff to get certified or attend the graduate program in UK or elsewhere. But I'm quite sure a lot of private sector will invest in human capital very soon. Because unless they invest, they're going to face the bigger risk than before.
Okay, thanks. Dhiren, you've taken yourself off mute. Have you got one little comment to add to that?
No, that was me.
Benson.
So yeah, it was very quickly. Not to toot the not to toot our own horn, but we do have this Cyber Day, what we call Cyber Day. So every year we organize Cyber Day, and we would go to the not just university, but all the way to elementary school to basically talk to students and just spend a day and focusing on cyber security education. So and we speak to even elementary school. So and that's been a lot of fun. And we see that that's how you have to start young, to build that awareness, right? And that's the age, for a lot of students, that's the age when they start getting into digital, right?
Yeah. Well, of course, youngsters are growing up with it. It's not new to them.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm with great reluctance, I've got to bring this discussion to a close. And I say great reluctance because there are questions that have been posed that I just don't have time to put to you. I think what this has indicated, and we'll use Pak Adi's lead on this, that this is a subject that embraces many different issues and can't be handled in a short period of time. And I do hope to be in a position to invite you gentlemen back to perhaps pick up one or two of the other strands that we have left untouched at the moment. And in particular, this education, development, competency building that clearly needs to take place if Indonesia is going to be at the forefront of being secure and being able and capable to take on the opportunities as well. Pak Adi, you referred to your world. I'm just curious, which world are you in?
I'm in the world of Indonesia.
Oh, okay, all right then. I just wondered whether we're perhaps you're on a different planet or we're on a different planet.
No, I've been devoted myself the last 28 plus years in the IT industry, and I have seen a lot of things happening, and like I said, there's still a lot of challenges, and we need to learn from other people. No one is better than the other, but we need to learn, from other countries. People like yourself, colleagues from KPMG, and we need to go down to the lowest food chain. Like Benson mentioned, elementary school. I've been doing that. I've been going to elementary school, junior high school, teaching people on their future career. And I think everybody in the corporate world should be doing this as well. And this is how you fetch people at early age to go into the cybersecurity industry.
It is indeed. Thank you for that. And it's been our pleasure to be a part of your world for this hour or so. Pak Adi, thank you for joining us. To Danny in China, Benson, Dhiren, all from KPMG, thank you also. To our sponsor and partner for this particular webinar, the British School Jakarta. I'm mindful that in in about 30 minutes time. Many of our friends in Indonesia will be having their penultimate buka puasa, and this will be our last public offering before the Lebaran holiday. So just from me, on behalf of my executive office team, this particular panel, the BritCham board, I'd just like to offer everybody our congratulations, and also wishing you a safe time with what will be an unusual Eid al-Fitr this particular year. But our best wishes to you all. The next digital transformation series will be a week from now. Keep your eyes on the info coming out of my team, the events team. Thank you all very much for joining us. To the attendees that have come on today, thanks for the questions. Thank you also. We will share those that didn't get answered with our panelists, and they may pick up with you directly. With that, thanks very much. Goodbye from Indonesia.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Goodbye.